I have the honor of introducing Tim Hudak, who is also the CEO of OREA, and I'm sure most of you know his resume. He's going to let us know what the plans for OREA are moving forward now that he's in charge, and we'll be opening up the floor to questions after that, so it'll be Q&A for most of the part. And Tim, it's all yours.
Thanks very much, Kieran. And what I'll do, folks, is I'll talk a little about what I've heard in my 6 months on the job, where we've been as an association, and where OREA, the new OREA, is going. And I'll try to do it relatively quickly, and then happy to take any questions that you may have. And being a former politician, I see cameras on me, so. Let me say too, I want to congratulate Andrew Foliato and Justel Holmes. I think it's outstanding, Andrew, that you, the leadership you showed in putting this conference together. A great program and a beautiful place. So thank you very much for what you've done. And all you folks, thanks for time for being here and supporting as well My Friend's Place, a great charity here supporting women's shelter in Collingwood. So thanks for your generosity and great responsibility too. Off the top, so this is what OREA's theme is. This is what we are all about. Helping Ontario realtors succeed, doing well in your business, but we go a step further, a bigger vision here, helping build strong communities. There is no more active group of people in my 23 years now in public life than Ontario realtors. You look at any sports team, any local charity, any local fundraising events, at the school, the church, what have you, there's always realtors involved. You build communities neighborhood by neighborhood. We want to recognize that good work and put that energy used to build a stronger Ontario. That's what we're all about. I want to bring greetings also on behalf of our president, Ettore Cardarelli, and Karen Cox, our area rep from OREA, and David Kirk, who was on the board. David, great to see you. We appreciate your service representing Northern Ontario as part of the OREA board. So here's what I picked up. I was always close with OREA and with realtors in my time in politics as a representative of the Niagara region, and then as a leader of the PC party and cabinet minister. So none of this really surprised me, but things have grown. So there's no doubt you're seeing this increasingly. Consumers are becoming more sophisticated, more demanding in the interactions. The environment's become more competitive. Secondly, especially when you have hot real estate markets, government, and this should also say, and media are watching very closely. So a high likelihood of media covering stories of bad behavior, and then you see governments, particularly those that are close to re-election time, they can do knee-jerk reactions on the industry. That's a significant threat that we've seen here in Ontario and in British Columbia. Technology changing the game faster than ever, consumers using tools as well. At our level at OREA, particular threats, the education contract, we had it until 2020, and then a new provider, I can talk more about that in the Q&A if you like, will take over at that point. So the last student will leave OREA on December 31st of 2020. Significant change in the industry. What does it mean for OREA? Well, that was our biggest source of revenue. It was also our biggest cost center, but it does mean a structural deficit that we need to eliminate between now and 2020. We will still be one of the largest professional associations in the province. In fact, the largest, I think, professional association at the provincial level in Canada, but we will be smaller with Yale College. We have a lack of profile with our membership, with government and media. It's there, but not anywhere near as strong as it needs to be to take care of those industry threats. And quite frankly, over the years, because a lot of money came in from the college, OREA became top-heavy. We were too complacent. We're doing the same thing year in and year out. They brought me in more support to shake things up. Be very direct about this. Realtors and the association have a trust challenge and a profile challenge, and they come together to threaten your business. What do I mean by that? Well, in the public sphere, public affairs, when people see us talking, they're always wondering what our motive is. Are we out for the public good, or are we out for ourselves? If you see a nurse, for example, talking, or a doctor talking on TV, people give them more of a motive benefit. We have a challenge as realtors to hit that level. To me, though, I've taken a major step up. I've been in politics for 21 years. And before that, I was a border inspector. So, oh really? Have you got a positive response? Oh yeah, I spent a number of years at the border in Fort Erie, Peacebridge, which was a great experience. You know, trying to keep out drugs, weapons, stop that stuff, and shady characters from crossing the border. In fact, that's where Barry Lebo and I met about 21 years ago. He said he was a go-go boy. So what do you do about all that? The actual threat that we face to business, given those risks, well, you need to take things in your own hands. Be more aggressive, more ambitious, work harder. Raising standards in the industry is going to be a big part of our focus going forward. Growing our profile so we count for a greater weight in the public debate, because we need to have access to government decision makers and the regulator, and to be taken seriously and do our homework to have influence. Stop wasting calories in internal battles. Those of you who are in organized real estate, or even among realtors and associations, a lot of time in the past has been spent fighting among ourselves. And every calorie we burn doing that, every minute we waste doing that, is a minute we lose sight on the ball and pushing against government or those who threaten your industry and your business. And finally, streamlining. We'll have to do fewer things, but do them better. How it changes in our operation. Our goal is to become Ontario's most effective professional association with high impact advocacy and delivering high quality services to the members who pay the bills. Lost in college, we will do fewer things, but we will focus on our strengths. Anybody knows you try to do 100 things, you will not do one single thing well. So let's get back to basics on what we can do and double down on those strengths, like government relations, direct services for our membership, leadership, training, standard forums. Make our profile taller and wider. What do I mean by that? Taller, have a greater impact in public affairs debate where it concerns your profession, what we can do to make our community stronger, and wider, get involved in more issues that impact on your customers and clients as homeowners, those who want to join the ranks. And importantly, the number one conversation I hear wherever I go, 39 visits to all the local boards, meeting with realtor leaders, a lot of you last night, top thing, you gotta make it easier to kick people out of the profession when they break the rules and harder to get in. We will be releasing our strategic plan to our members, our boards, and the public. First time that's been done by OREA later on this summer. We'll have electronic town hall where every realtor in the province can tune in and ask questions. So I hope that you will tune into that. We'll announce the date shortly. These are the 4 major planks that will be part of our strategic plan that the OREA board has approved 2 weeks ago. Figure out who does what and keep a consistent dialogue. So instead of the territorial battles among Korea and OREA and TREB and local boards, who's going to do what? Focus on what you do best and stop the fighting. Advance and promote the interests of Ontario realtors. Government relations, a big part of that, and the services we provide. Enhance access to technology innovation, not that we're inventing technology, we're not buying technology with your dues dollars, but giving greater exposure. And if there are regulatory barriers that stand in the way for the next version of whatever electronic signatures is going to be, because that was what, 7-8 year battle? What's coming next, make sure we clear that aside, and then elevate the realtor brand to the public eye. So in my first month on the job, I found $1.5 million in savings and did not impact on service delivery. That includes, by the way, our board made decisions to cut their own costs for travel and hospitality and administration by 20%. My budget as CEO is down 37%, and my staff, my leaders, down an average of 32%. Government relations wins lately. Land transfer tax rebate for first-time home buyers doubled. I know that doesn't solve all the problems in the world in hot markets or the GTA, but there are now many parts of the province where first-time home buyers will not pay a dime of provincial land transfer tax. Tax Fairness for Realtors Act, that's a person of real estate corporations. We've got the farthest we've come. We moved it up the hill a considerable amount. As you may remember in your Politics 101, you need 3 readings to pass the bill. We've had 2 successful readings. The bill, sponsored by Todd Smith from John Mark's area in Belleville, has passed 2 of those 3 readings. Our big goal now is to get that 3rd and final reading in the House. That's the hardest step. but we're getting to the top of the hill. And then one key objective I was given as CEO when I came on board, review the Real Estate Business Brokers Act. The world's changed a hell of a lot since 2002. That is now on the table. I'm excited about that. And then as part of our mandate to, like I said, be taller and wider and count for more, be taken more seriously and more influential in the public debate. So our media impressions since January 1 are up 1,600%. The number of times that OREA is in the media is up 1,600%. That equates to $2 million in what we call politics business earned media. So if we wanted to get that kind of exposure to the public, we had to spend $2 million in television or radio advertising. And our social media engagement is up 200%. So hopefully you hear more from OREA more often about important issues to you. No doubt the challenges you face are significant. You'll focus on a number of these things in the conference today and going forward. We want to make sure we have an environment for your success to do more and more rewarding business and to stand in the way of the government or the regulator. So Charles asked if we resolve the issue with TREB and the number of votes that they get, because TREB is capped. It's roughly supposed to be proportional. The membership of TREB is capped in their percentage and have grown now to over 42,000 members of our 70,000. So number one, to answer Charles' question on a bigger picture, I was really given 3 strategic imperatives by the board when they hired me to be, I can talk about this now, David? Time is enough this past?
I'm not there.
Three real strategic imperatives. One was to raise our profile in public affairs debate. We've seen some of the stats to date. The reason we do that is just not only can we see OREA out there, helping move public opinion, great, but it actually gets us better access to ministers, to the premier. They actually come to us for advice on issues. They don't always listen, but we can help reduce the damage and pave a more positive path forward, like with REMA reform. The second thing they asked me to do, as I said in my presentation, was to shake things up, evaluate the program, what are our core strengths, and double down on those and get out of businesses that we're not good at. Third was to repair the relationship with TREB, because OREA and TREB spent a lot of time writing nasty letters back and forth and having fights on things that really didn't matter that much to your business, probably, mattered more for other reasons. And I think we've come a long way. I've got a really strong relationship with John D. Michel. We meet regularly. So I think the TREB-OREA relationship is strong now. On the vote side, so we actually have, if you're interested, we're going to have at our fall PAC, November 18th, we're going to be having votes on how OREA is run. So should we go to a one-member, one-vote system? Currently for OREA decisions, each board has a certain number of delegates. They go and they vote on issues. The board, to the credit, grassroots consultation, they went listen to realtors across the province. They said, what are the most modern techniques, more governance, more grassroots, more open, more transparent, more nimble? Part of that, Charles, is for a one-member, one-vote system in the province. So every realtor's vote will count, not just those that go to the convention or those that are on the boards currently. Part of that, too, is shrinking the board. We're 17, up to 17 now, to go down to as low as 11 board members, to get rid of the committees we don't really use too much, and to go to province-wide representation. Right now, we have a mix of at-large and regional directors. So should the best candidates, the top 11, be elected wherever they are? If they're all from beautiful Collingwood, Blue Mountain, then God bless if that's what the people voted for. In order for those changes to happen, it actually has to pass our upcoming convention. So I encourage you to go. We'll put up more material on that. So to answer your question, Charles, says that'll be determined this fall. Thank you. Rod.
What is OREA's position with regards to multiple representation in the province of Ontario?
So I would say OREA's position would be reform, but keep. Let me explain what that means. So the government put a big red circle around multiple representation, as you saw, and they outlined there is a great jeopardy because of the hot real estate market, intense media focus, particularly CBC and the Star, on this issue, and that marketplace episode of bad behavior was, I think, devastating to the profession. My first question is, why the hell doesn't RICO go find out who these people are and kick them out of the profession? So we need a stronger, I think, more focused regulator with more power to do that. Because no matter how hard you work, one story like that can cause a significant problem. So in our discussions with government, Rod, they actually in the budget process had some very strong language we're going to use to look at eliminating it altogether. So we pushed back and said, you got to think this through. Here's the reality on the ground, because having been a politician, their understanding how the issue works is a lot different what happens on the ground.
Right.
So we had meetings with them about 3 weeks ago, us, Rico, Treb, and government representatives. We told them that the notion of multiple representation at the brokerage level, like it would be an insane solution to not be workable, practical, and not in consumers' interest. We got that knocked off the table. They did put out a consultation paper on whether an agent could be on both sides of the deal. So right now we've asked our member boards to give us their input on what we should bring to the table. And John Meehan, a broker from Toronto, is heading up the committee that we set up on what our position should be. My advice on the political side is if we go and say everything's perfect, nothing should change, government may ignore that advice. We need to convince them of how do you actually modernize that act, what kind of reform should you have. But also in the understanding that in some communities, well, often a consumer will hire somebody to sell their home. Governments seem to think it's like an adversarial, legal relationship where it's all in negotiation as opposed to sales. We need to make sure they understand that. And I met with the principal secretary and 2 deputy ministers just like 2 days ago to drive that point.
There's the other point of the buyer saying in the commercial sense, or maybe I've tested it, I want to buy this property, let me go out and find it, and she'll go out and find it for them.
Yep.
And you cannot tie her hands either.
Yep. Significant part of commercial, specialty areas as well. So the number 1 mission is to make sure decision makers understand that, understand what that means in consumer behavior. But there is a risk, I'll be straight with you on that, Rod. One of the things I know our committee looked at as well is what they're doing currently in Alberta, Nova Scotia, and Manitoba, the designated agency model, as one option that they're studying to see if that's a compromise we can put on the table that protects your business and protects consumers at the same time as a balance. So they have another meeting coming up next week and forge that position by the end of the month, I believe, is the goal. And if you have thoughts you want to share with us, please do. I'm tim.hudak@orea.com, by the way. I can feed that into the committee for you. tim.hudak@orea.com, and our local boards are to send in their positions. And talking to us, there's a lot of different viewpoints on this issue. It kind of depends what kind of business you're in and where you're from in the province, quite frankly. Perfect.
Being from a small community, multiple representation is within the brokerage, so you can't have 2 people.
Yep. We convinced them, where you're from.
Espanola.
Really?
I live in Sudbury, I was from Espanola,
Yeah.
only 40 miles different.
Right. So when I was, before I was even there, so my parents are both retired teachers. They're from Sarnia.
Yeah.
And they got married and looked for a place they could both teach in the same school.
Yeah.
So Espanola was one community, or 40 area.
So you have a small community. The multiple representation is within the brokerage. So you have 7 people working out of the brokerage, excuse me, and then maybe 3 others from other brokerages.
That's an excellent point. And we were able to convey that. So we stopped from something really bad at the budget. We've also convinced them that multiple rep at the brokerage level would be a very impractical solution.
Okay.
So now we're focusing on is a single salesperson on both sides of the deal. And I'll tell folks here, the government's looking very closely at this. So we're looking at best practices to put on the table as part of those negotiations.
That's huge for Northern Ontario. I mean, you can, somebody mentioned Spanish, somebody at Elliott Lake, you can go to Timmins, you can go to anywhere.
For sure.
And it makes a huge difference.
So we've got that now off the table. It won't impact at the brokerage level, but they are looking at should there be different rules around a salesperson being on both sides of the deal. And in Alberta, they have a designated agency model, right, where most of it would be a sort of client-customer relationship, and they have designated people within the brokerage. But thank you for bringing that up.
BC always has that in place, really.
Yeah, BC does. Now, BC, the government there threatened to get rid of it altogether, and they had the election, so we'll see what rolls out in British Columbia. Yes.
I have a question about the FinTrack. I don't know if that's something you can address, but with these new FinTrack forms that parts of them seem contradictory, and the lawyer does FinTrack as well, why are we, like, to me, it's just a paper pushing thing. I can't tell when I look at somebody's ID if they're money laundering or terrorist financing. If I think they're doing something like that, I report it anyway to the lawyer. It has nothing to do with seeing their ID. Why is this such a big part of us when the lawyer is going to do it anyway?
My best answer for sure says I don't know. So we are meeting with OREA. So that's at the federal side. To confess, I hear a lot of complaints about it. I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm just coming up to speed, and that's our National Association's area of focus. So we are meeting with them Friday, and that will be part of our discussion of what we can do to help ease the
Question for her question.
Yeah.
Somebody please tell me, because nobody's ever answered me, have anyone ever found a terrorist? Ever? But they have convicted realtors for not filling out forms.
Yeah, so we're meeting with OREA to talk about a few of these issues. I mean, the other thing, so Sherry, that will be on the list. The other thing I'm really worried about, and I put a statement of this 2 days ago, is it almost seems like every level of government wants to save people from themselves. So we had the fair housing plan from the government. The City of Toronto raised land transfer taxes beginning in January. Again, the national government brought in the new stress test in the fall, and now OSFI wants to expand it to uninsured mortgages going forward. Interest rates rose. There's talk of threatening the capital gains tax exemption on principal residences. Like, there's a real pile-on happening right now. So OREA put out a very strong statement saying, ease off. Right? Let's let the market play out. We've had a lot of cumulative impact that together, threatens the value of the middle class's greatest investment. So let's let some cool heads prevail here for a little while. Michelle.
Actually, I just have a response to Sherry. I think the lawyers actually challenged FinTrack, and they don't have to provide it because of privacy or their confidentiality agreements or whatever. So lawyers don't have to do it. From what my understanding, I heard that they challenged that a few years ago.
Yeah, I wish I knew more, something I'll come to speed a bit more, but it's not been part of my OREA job. We'll talk about it with our national correspondents. Any other questions for me, folks? Let me say this too, and I'm glad to get some feedback on this, and I probably can't stick around too much longer. I'm picking my daughter from camp back in Niagara, so I'll have to zoom with the Friday traffic soon. Realtors are really outgoing, exciting people. They like to network, big part of the job, especially what we heard from the first panel. Our conventions, though, attract maybe about 300 people on average. If we had 1% of our members attend, 1%, that would be over 700. So I talk about fewer better. We do a lot of events. In 2016, we did 28 different events. I almost have like a tourist agency within our office, right, coordinating all those events. Being a bit facetious. So we're going to do fewer events, but try to make them bigger and better. I'd love to hear from you folks. What will attract you to come to an OREA convention? We do really well with our organized leadership, no doubt about it, right? It's a good turnout, a lot of important things to discuss. But for those who aren't the board president, inter-president, elect, grassroots realtors, business people, I'd love to see you at our convention. So what do I have to put on the table in my team that'll be interesting use of your time to sacrifice away from the business? If you have some suggestions for that, I'd love to hear it. I went to the Banff Western Conference in January. Folks go to that one? Yeah. I thought it was really good. I'd love to see sort of an Eastern Ontario counterpart to that maybe every other year. So if you have suggestions on that, please let me know. I'd love to see you there. Sorry, there's one more? Tim.Hudak@OREA.com. Tim Hudak on Twitter. Tim Hudak on Facebook. And I do a radio show on Sundays on News Talk 1010, CFRA, CKPK, and AM 800 News and Windsor. No, I don't get to Northern Ontario. I'll try that. No insult. I find no insult. Don't be insulted. I find realtors to be a lot like politicians. So free food and free booze, I think. Anyway, folks, again, Andrew and the Just Sell Homes team, thank you very much for putting this together. I hope that you'll do this going forward, and I really appreciate being part of the agenda. Thanks for the questions here today.